I write notes on my phone, like business ideas, and sometimes they autocorrect. One of them, this is so bad, one of these autocorrected, go into businesses and urinate on them. And I have no idea what that is. That is just an autocorrect.
Urinate on them?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. Welcome to Idea Drop. But before we get started, let me paint you a picture. You're 12 years old and you look up at your father with glee as you just leave the theater after having watched your first James Bond movie. You're walking 10 feet tall. Every person is either a woman in need of your aid or a bad guy waiting to be struck down. Either way, something to be conquered, and you are the conqueror. This podcast is this very idea realized. Come listen as Kendall and I recall the cocaine-crazed days of our youth, and in a fever pitch of enthusiasm, we blithely give you idea after idea, wave after wave, and hit after hit. You don't need a better job, you just need a better drug. And I'm here to tell you that that drug is starting your own business. There's no way around capitalism, no sir. This one is a door that you need to kick down. So come along, join Kendall and me as we offer up some family-friendly solutions to beat the rat race and find a better way to live. How are you, Kendall?
Are you implying we're fake kid superheroes battling
No, like
the
that
demons
feeling that you get after James Bond and you're like, I can do anything.
Yeah,
I'm
anything.
actually unstoppable.
You watch Taken and then you sit in the corner of every coffee shop, sure that somebody's going to bust through the door.
I hate Taken. No, I don't hate Taken. I just think like that's a depressing thought and I never want to have kids or take them out and give them away. Hey, you remember that time that we gave parental advice and I have no kids? We should do that again sometime.
Okay, yeah, give me some parental advice, Dustin.
Okay, so I think you should never ever let your kids have snacks, and I think crying it out is wrong, and I think your kids, if you raise them right, could all be geniuses. Now, I have nothing to base these thoughts off of. In fact, I made half of them up. But am I doing okay? Is any of that good advice?
I mean, snacks are just biding time for meals. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I don't know. The reality is raising kids is like bringing them into my world. I can't actually craft the perfect world for them. I have to find ways to incorporate into mine, which means there are lots of little imperfect hacks, and that's good. They have to learn how to deal with the imperfections of life. If I over-design it, the reality is that they are not going to fit in with other people.
Well, let me tell you, sir. Fact, every millionaire, their parents did not let them cry it out. Parenting hack. That's total bullshit.
No, my kids cry it out. They for sure cry it out. But also there's a time and place for care and snuggles.
Dude, I don't know any of this stuff. I don't have kids. All that stuff gives me anxiety. I don't know what to do. I know that if one day I'll be in a grocery store and my child will be having a meltdown, and that's going to be a really stressful day for me. But that day is not today, and I'm really happy about that. That day is probably many days of the week for you, isn't it?
How much do you think that stress tolerance, like just your ability to handle stress, plays into being successful as an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. Really, really high, actually, because I've said this once, I'll say it again. I actually don't think it's that hard. The hardest part is the emotions of it all. It's not hard to do the next step, do the next step, do the next step. In fact, dumb people are often better entrepreneurs just because they do the next step, do the next step, do the next step. The hard part is emotionally being like, did that work? Is it not going to work? Do I have money? Do I not have money? And that is stressful. So I say really high. What do you think?
I have a friend I talked to this morning who has $2 million to fall back on and is still dealing with the stress of like, but do I really want to go own my own business?
Wait, does he have any, what's his risk right now?
He has a big income.
But does he doesn't have like any, does he own like 60 homes and he has $30 million of debt?
Oh, that's a good question. Bunch of kids and a wife who craves stability.
Oh.
Yep.
Dang, that's so funny. Because if I had $2 million, I'd be like, this is great. I'm going to take a year just to like explore options.
I know. It was a really interesting conversation. I got forced into the entrepreneur game, just survival. For me, it was survival, not I want to start a business because I have vision. It was like, I think it's actually going to make me more money faster to save my family's bacon, to not go work for somebody in where I live on the careers that I could qualify for.
Bro, can I tell you one of my favorite forcing entrepreneur story? This is a story for me, and it's a little embarrassing. But one time I got trapped in Spain, and I was stuck there for 2 weeks, and I had very, very little money at the time. And
Define that. Define very little.
I had, I think, $50 for 2 weeks.
$50 to your name.
$50. Very, very poor at the time. And so 2 weeks, $50, and I had already purchased my return flight, which I missed. There was a whole mess. So I had $50 for 2 weeks. And so I stayed at a hostel as cheap as I possibly can. And what I bought was cigarette stuff to roll cigarettes. And so I would roll cigarettes for people at the hostel in exchange for food. And that was
I'll give you a cigarette. Hey, can I have some bacon?
Yeah. That's what I would do. And I've never done it before. Like, I didn't even smoke at the time. I was just like learning how to roll cigarettes so that I could. That's how you learn entrepreneurialism. That's exactly what it is. You just do it. Like, honestly, it's out of necessity.
I know you're not independently wealthy yet. You are going to be. You like, of all the people that I know who go into business for themselves, you're in this upper echelon of like the raw ingredients are all there, and the rest is decisions, right? The rest is like actually acting it out and making decisions. No, I think that there's something like.
Did the cigarette story like make you feel that way, or what inspired this kind of word?
The cigarette story, amongst other things I've seen you do and pivot and go after. I think there's a difference between somebody building a business in the long middle of building and somebody getting a business to its first margin that is substantial. So I feel like you are predisposed to getting a business to its first 100K or $1 million. Like, that is a way you tick and act. If I was going to invest in your businesses, I would be concerned that on a 5-year time horizon, you might not keep the money you make and therefore keep enough to pay me back a return. So maybe that's something we talk about.
Perhaps you're right. However, I do think I'm a little bit more self-aware than I was maybe 10 years ago. I know where my strengths and my weaknesses lie. And I'm pretty damn sure I would not be that great at running a company long term. But getting it off the ground.
Get somebody else in.
Yeah.
Because you're smart.
Oh my gosh, get somebody else in. That's fine. Yeah. That's great. I'm actually happy to do that. I don't want another trap.
Right. And I think you're right. Yeah, let's do an idea. Give me one.
Okay. So I was doing a lot of driving this last week, and while I was driving, here's my first idea. Somebody sent me a playlist on Apple Music, and I'm like, sweet, I use Spotify. How do I transfer this playlist instantaneously? I can't do that. So there should be an app that takes a playlist, creates it immediately, same song for song, and then just transfers it for you. I don't know how to monetize this, but I do think it's possible. How would you monetize it? Good idea, bad idea?
That's really interesting. I love the little hack, like one time. It's like a tiny feature. Those can be really good businesses only if you can come up with the monetization thing. Because you're not building a brand. It's like, what are you really building? You're building a workflow. Mm-hmm. And maybe you could build a brand of like, we are the company that has these workflows, and each one is a $10 one-time purchase or $20 one-time purchase. So maybe if you had 3 of those, like equivalent little things, like we help you take the Apple list and you translate it to Spotify with the click of a button, but you got to pay us $20 for it because it's a hard one to make money from, but it could be so mass market so fast. Not even mass market, like it could just be viral in the sense of somebody goes, here, let me do this for you, and it comes with your link that plugs your thing.
I do think if you could make it easy enough where it's literally just a click of the button, you could easily charge ad space. Just put a banner there.
But you're sending somebody away to a web page to do this?
It would jump. You'd have to be like, oh, there's the app, and you click it on your phone. Then
maybe it's like a confirm page. Like, confirm these are the songs that we're translating from Spotify to Apple, and then that gives you ad space. There you go. I don't think that's bad.
I don't think it would be a huge amount of profit. But if you could get widespread adoption. But that's hard. It's really hard to get widespread adoption.
You know what's interesting? One of the businesses we're looking at buying right now is a a co-founder matching service. I actually think we could do this. Like, I think Idea Drop could do this for entrepreneurs. But they're the third hit on Google when you type in like something like search for, find a co-founder. Their monetization strategy seems to be the lowest hanging fruit. Like, I'm like, the way you guys are making money, because we would buy the business based on how they make money, right? We wouldn't, like, there'll be a little bit of a premium on it for their list, because their list is tens of thousands of people who wanted this service. So that's valuable, but they're so under monetized because they're charging $20 a month for this basically ability to filter through people's profiles who are saying, I want to start a business. Here's the kind that I'm interested in. So can you help me crack that nut? Like, help me change the monetization strategy there, because they've got the traffic.
It's just a database of people who are starting businesses and
like a profile. So imagine you made a LinkedIn profile that was just around the next business you wanted to start, and you're saying, I need a technical co-founder, or I need a marketing co-founder. I'm a developer, and here's the type of idea I'm working on. So they're getting quick signups. Like, people are looking for this. There's lots of validation on that. But there aren't people who are converting into like the premium unlock, like extra, I don't even know. It's like extra filtering that they let you hone in on, or the meet and greet level is like behind the paywall. So you can like browse people for free, but if you want to actually meet them, then you got to pay. And so the numbers are something like 0.25% of their people who make a profile convert to paying $20 a month for the service. So he wants to be done with it. But I'm like, man, they're providing a really good service that people want, which is co-founder matching. They made their filtering better than kind of these other two larger ones that exist. Their filtering itself is better, but they don't know how to make money. This was just a developer's like, hold my beer, I can make this filtering better.
Yeah. It's really tough, because if he were to... So the way that I would monetize it is somehow you have to make sure that it's good traffic and people are actually doing something with it.
They are. 8,000 active users monthly. Okay. Monthly active users.
And then if I were him, I would say create an easy button for them, as in like, hey, we're your easy button. So we're going to incorporate you. We're going to do all your billing for you. And we're even going to get you some seed capital if you can meet these qualifications.
That's a shed load of work. What you just described, get them seed capital. Like, yeah, we have to talk to these people. Like, they're not going to pay us the amount we'd have to charge for that.
Yeah, but then you get equity in their businesses.
I agree. Okay, so I agree that there's deal flow. So my primary reason for interest is like, well, if we own this, then we get to cherry pick from the deal flow and say, let's reach out to that guy and make a deal. Let's get some equity or help them with marketing or whatever they need. Like, we could be their co-founder, but we don't have to. That doesn't have to be the service the platform is monetizing. That's like our ulterior motive, is we want to do some of these businesses, but not most of them.
Could you make it like an angel shopping space? Like, if you just say, hey guys, this is where the angels shop. And each week we go through American Idol style. You pitch it to us, and then we take the top 25 of those pitched, and then we pitch those, and then we set you up with the time with our angels. And if you can't get through us, then that's fine. You just do it next week until you get your stuff better. Get better numbers, get everything better. And then we connect you with investors and co-founders.
Okay, here we go. Pitch practice. We've been using the phrase pitch practice a lot.
Okay.
And what if you build into this co-founder matching tool pitch practice, and when you get to an 8.5 out of 10 on your elevator pitch, which is a video, an iPhone video is all we're asking for, we then will schedule you for pitching in front of angels. We can guarantee that anybody who scores above an 8.5 will get a chance to pitch angel investors, and then, do something with the content. We've talked about that stuff before for Idea Drop, but like, that could be an interesting way to do it, because you don't want to put bad pitches out in front of your investor network, but like good ones, good deal flow is actually really hard to create. So I do think there's some really good deal flow in a community of that size, but I think it's going to be 5% of them, not 95% of them.
Yeah, not 95%, but that's for sure. Man, this is a good purchase, I think. Is there a better version of this anywhere else? Do you know?
Yeah, there's two. There's two. Y Combinator has one, and
amazing.
I forget the other.
They're like the top.
Yeah, but they're doing it for deal flow, kind of like we would, right? So
they're different though. You have to literally be selected, and people fight to get in there, right? This is
right,
this is a lot more of an open door.
This is just the top of the funnel. Then this is where you would select from. For them, right? So they'd be able to browse, right? So if they have the admin rights behind the scenes, they can kind of browse and reach out to people and be like, hey, come over here. So that's why Miramar wants to do it. But like, I'm trying to figure out how to make the platform self-sustaining on its own revenues.
Yeah, that's valid. You could sell a validating service. You have a small team of experts.
And maybe make the broker, like you could broker agencies that serve startups, and they could just give you a referral fee if they get business from your, that's what you could do is you're like, hey, here's 30 agencies that help startups. Here's the validating service. Here's the design service. Here's the video service. Here's the ad management service. And then you could just take, 10% as a referral fee if the platform connects the agency to the founder. That might work.
That could work. Is there any paywall to get into this thing, or is it just
free? Which is why, which I think is good. Like, I think the paywall, I think the price shouldn't be $20 a month. It should be like $400 for the year or $200 for the year. Like, you want to get that upfront revenue so that you can spend more on ads. So at $20 a month, if it costs you $30 to buy a customer, you're upside down and you're hoping that they hang in there for the next month, and it creates the wrong incentives. At $200 one time, then you can spend 100 of it on ads getting the right person who wants the service now.
You could do that crazy thing. I think I made this recommendation a long time ago. Charge everybody $1,000 and say, that's $1,000 and you can withdraw at any point. But that $1,000 needs to be in the pot if you want to be in the room. And that's just to show us that you actually have the ability to put some skin
like you get it back when you leave?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of like that. Like when you successfully leave the platform. Yeah.
And then you have to do some numbers because you can play with that money. That's now your money to do. But you also have to be able to dish it back out.
Bank style.
That's what banks do. Yeah.
I think the problem there is actually going to be some laws. I think there's going to be some laws like you're imitating what banks do. You're not allowed to invest other people's money. You have to usually put those things in a escrow account that you can't touch. Maybe not. Maybe there's a creative legal structure to prevent that. But anyways, well, what other ideas you got?
First though, how much are you going to pay for it? What are they asking?
They're asking $150.
Oh, really? $150K.
I don't want somebody to hear this and snake the deal. So, they're asking $150
million. Wow. That's crazy.
They're asking $150K.
Surprising.
And right now they're doing a disappointing amount of revenue, 200 times $20, right? So it's $3 grand a month, and $2.5 grand a month.
Okay, that's too high of an ask then.
Yeah, right. Which is why we're talking. So, we'll see. We'll see where it lands. But the assets are valuable. So they're only valuable if we were going to put in more money and more work into transforming it into something better, which is why I'm talking about it. So we'll see.
That's interesting. Can I ask one more question? Where did you come across this deal?
I think this one was from Deal Maven or Micro Acquire. We have like 5 different places we go. There's Biz by Sell, Micro Acquire, Deal Maven. I don't know. There's a couple other domains that my acquisitions guy goes through. So nice. I got a guy on staff for this, so I don't have to go do the hunting. I just have to talk to him about here's what we want this quarter. It's really nice.
Yeah, that is nice. Okay, so let me talk to you about one thing first, and then I'll tell you about another idea. So innovation is very much about attaching old ideas with new ideas, or two different sectors that don't talk to each other, right? So you can't say, I'm going to make a better iPhone, right? That's not innovating anything at all, right?
Yep.
And the best business ideas, some of the best business ideas are at the intersection of two industries that don't normally talk. So
Agreed.
I have a cousin, a brother-in-law actually. He just went to a medical trade show, and he's out on the floor, and he's like, there are so many millionaires just walking around here because, or they're representatives for different companies trying to buy things. But you know what there isn't on the trade floor? There isn't a freaking coffee shop. There isn't a freaking coffee shop.
Right.
And I'm like, how much does it cost to get on the floor? He said, hey, I think $15,000.
And
for
it's like
a spot.
$5,000 for a smaller conference.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, perhaps.
15 for a bigger. Yeah.
And you could totally do this for trade shows. Just find a spot and just sell bougie coffee or something like that. Any type of a trade show that isn't specifically, food based. Bring something that's not, bring food into there. Now,
can you
the issue
make
is
enough
a lot of these
coffees
venues,
for that to pencil?
I think so. So I had an uncle. He was he used to do kettle corn back in the day for fairs or something like that.
Oh yeah, that crushes because there's no process. But the problem of making lattes, isn't that a lot of labor time?
No, it's easy. It's really fast. You can do it in less than a minute. And think about it. You have a monopoly on the floor. There's 10,000 people coming in and out. And what are you going to do? You're not going to walk around all day. It gets old. I used to go to car trade shows. And that's what I would do. I'd be like, so I'm bored now. What do? You walk over, you get a coffee, and you keep on going through.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is if some of the venues probably wouldn't allow it. But I talked to him, and my brother-in-law is like, no, I could legitimately just get a slot here. And then all you have to do is just pay for it, and you can do whatever the heck you want.
Mm-hmm. And you take a coffee cart.
Take a coffee cart. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it would be a lot better if there was kettle corn hanging right next to you as well. I mean,
sell whatever
you got to drive up that ticket size. But, I mean, my concern, maybe on a $5,000 trade show, it works better than a $15,000 one. Mm-hmm. But I like that it's hustleable. You do have to try to sell 3 simple things, not one complicated thing. And lattes can...
Okay,
it
let's
took me
traffic.
7 minutes at Starbucks to get my drink made today.
Oh, but let's say you have a really fast cart. You only have a few items. You sell them really quickly. Maybe it's a cup of coffee and a latte, right? And you could have a customer every 2 minutes. So that's 30. No, let's say a customer a minute. If you're really hustling, do you think that's possible?
No.
Okay, customer every 2 minutes. Everybody spends $7 there. You get a $5 margin, right? So 3 times 5 is $150 per that times 8. It's $1,200 on a low end.
So when I worked at the highest paced Starbucks in my city, which granted is not a super big city,
bad idea.
It was $5,000 a day of revenue, and then you've got your costs. And so I just that's a busy Starbucks. I don't know, it's risky, but I like kettle corn. Let's go with kettle corn. I'd buy that on the trade show floor, like black coffee with cream and kettle corn. Here's your $7 package, or here's your $9 for this package of things. And we don't sell no, you can't just have kettle corn. You have to take coffee and kettle corn. Like that type of stuff, I think in an event where just you crank it out.
So if you push it up, and if you can make the offering maybe $10 to $20, and then that would actually pencil well. Did you say that you guys only did $5,000 of revenue? Revenue.
A day.
Straight revenue.
Yeah. Straight revenue a day. Yeah.
That's
Sad,
depressing.
huh? So, shout out to my friend Chad, who has a soup mix business, goes to these trade shows that are open air. So when it's outside, he goes in the morning times, takes his little pop-up tent, has soup mixes that are pre-made, and they're like premium ingredients, but they're all dried ingredients, and you just add water and then you make a tasty soup. But he does tastings, and the tastings are free. So you get right? So here they are for sale. All he has to do is grab it and hand it to you, and you got to give him $7 or something like that. But he sells them, but you get 4 for $20, and I'd rather sell you 4. And he just kind of has this pitch of well, I'm not going to see you again. Why not take a package? It's $20. So his average customer gives him a $20 bill, and he gives him 4 of these pre-dried things, which is like an arm grab left to right. I mean, we're talking about a 15-second transaction. And then over here, he has people that self-serve tastings with little plastic spoons and little cuppies. And they just like it. They're already cold. And they're like, wow. And he goes, right? It's my grandma's recipe. And he crushes it. So for a solo guy doing all the work himself, he preps for a show. And then he comes home with $5,000 in his pocket of profit from a weekend. How many people out there want to make $5,000 a weekend?
Yeah, $5,000's good for a weekend.
Yeah,
I'm happy
you just
about
have
that for a
to
weekend.
hunt down the right shows to go to and have the recipe that works for this. Like have a dried soup mix recipe.
I like that. All right, you got any ideas for me?
Not really, dude. I'm so burnt out on business ideas. I'm in the
Kendall,
middle of building businesses. I give you feedback on your ideas today. Here's some things I got going on that are interesting.
Sure, yeah, hit me.
We're in the middle of consolidating some of our business growth methods into single processes because we have too many processes going in too many directions. So like you're running ads for this company to sell, and then you've got a guy who hops on the phone with an inbound person who's responding to an ad. Or over here, you're doing a cold email, and then you have the owner of that business take the first call, but then you pass it to somebody to do the contract work if they're still interested. And over here, you're like networking with somebody at a trade show. And over there, you're like talking to somebody in a Reddit subthread, and you're like trying to send a link to a screen demo. And then you got your cold caller. Like, there's all these lead source types that we've been dealing with of like, okay, how do we, I get they all have merit, but how do we keep from the scope creep of the basically the bleed of inefficiency in labor that happens when we're not really optimizing any one of those things, but our smartest people are like tinkering on all 7 ways. So I've been trying to like do it more like a car wash. Okay, we've got 8 businesses that sell 20 different things between the 8 businesses. Yeah. How do we make a car wash where the customer pulls up, you have your basic package, you have your deluxe package, and then you have your custom? I have a question.
You're a venture community. Are you actively involved with each of these businesses in terms of oversight, or do they have all CEOs that are running them? I'm sure it's kind of differing per business.
Some are very early stage, right? So some were like helping at the strategy level, and some are later stage. None of them are really super late, but some of them have been going for years. Some of them have been going for months. So the scope is like we could be doing strategy one day or legal agreement support the next day, or we could be doing bookkeeping the next day for a partner, or we could be doing running their ads or doing cold lead gen stuff. Sometimes even doing their selling, and then we would get reimbursed or something for the labor costs. So we kind of make these different arrangements with our partners, which is great and terrible. It's great if you have it in a streamlined process because you know your cost, you know how to like make it efficient for your partner. If you're figuring out on the spot, we can only handle so many of those at one time. And I'm pretty fried because we bit off too many figure it out projects, and we're not dealing with enough streamlined projects. That's why I'm like pretty interested in that co-founder community, because I'm like, they streamlined a thing. The customers are already there. We could probably cross-sell with 2 of our other businesses, and it wouldn't take a lot of strategic work if we have one revenue concept. Like we plug in this system, we add to the system, it's a 2-month project, and then it makes more money. In services, there's so much trial and error. So like, I think 5 of our businesses are services businesses. And there's so much trial and error when you get feedback from the customer. They want to improve things or fix things, or you thought their pain point was something that it's not. I'm trying to hone in our trial and error and go, no, what do we know? Because we do know some things. And what are we good at? We are good at some things. And let's just triple down on that for a while and like fortify our focus. And that gives us the strength to go do more ventures. So I still want to do more ventures, but typically your question was, do other people run these things? Yeah, they all have an operator. That person needs to run that thing. And so, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions about this. How are you acquiring customers in the majority of these businesses? Is it the same or is it different?
Right. Cold, let's just call it referral is definitely the number one way. But the proactive way is cold emails. So cold emails, we send out, 5,000 a month or something, but it would be like 500 emails a month across each of the businesses on average. And we can do a higher scale of that. That's not very much compared to what we could do. So we've been building towards a higher quantity of that. It's just not that doesn't work in some industries that are so commoditized. So we have like these, I've been working hard on our recruiting company for software developers. They primarily give enterprises, there are no customers of this company in our audience. It's like a VP of software at $1 billion company will buy, a team of 5 Egyptian senior developers from us, and we have them in office accountable. And like we have this,
Dude,
but
that's
that
a
is
good
a
business,
commodity.
because that saves that business $500,000 a year.
Oh man, yeah, it does. It saves them probably $1 million a year. And the problem is it's such a good money making simple business, and there's nothing unique about it other than we're in Cairo, Egypt, and the customer has to trust us that we're just better. It's very hard from a marketing perspective to go, we're super unique. Now, Egypt, maybe it's unique enough to get some attention, but we're competing with a lot of Indian outsourcing businesses, and there's a lot of problems in that industry with perception, like trust and perception. So cold email doesn't really help trust and perception. So that business is a good example of like cold email is really not the best for it. It needs to be something where it's a referral business. Trade shows is better. Handshakes, showing and demonstrating expertise. So I would say referrals is the unfortunate truth of the growth engine of most of our companies.
I mean, referrals are the best, best way.
They're king, but they take time.
They will always be. I don't know, dude. Can I talk to you about cold emails? Because I don't know a lot about this stuff. I do know a little bit about cold emails. Because I use them and I hate them, but I use them. Right? It's kind of this terrible relationship. Bro, I got into somebody's inbox the other day, and they have a filter. Have you ever seen this? In order to get a meeting with the guy, you have to make a $2 donation to anything. It gives you options. So if you want this email to reach me, pay $2. And so it just blocks every single person that's not in this organization. It's so dope. And I want to start a business that does exactly like something like that. And I know that there's a market for it because I've talked to 1 billion people and nobody knows about this. But it's so freaking cool. Because, how many emails do you get a day that you probably don't open? Give it a guess.
100. I probably get 100 that I don't open
If you
a
could
day.
sift that down to 10 people, and they all paid to like reach you.
Yeah, I would read all of them. Yeah, I would read them
down.
I would. Yeah, that's interesting. I think I would rather have them. I would rather have them donate a higher dollar amount to a charity that I support, and I would guarantee a 15-minute meeting for their donation. So what if I was like, you know what? If you pay $500 to this charity over here, I'll take your 15-minute meeting. And every decision maker probably has a different number and a different charity in mind. But you could do that $2 for me to read and respond to your email. But I think a lot of people, that's going to be too low for it to make a dent, and they're going to just be busy. And a lot of I think it's good for filtering.
It cleans up your inbox. That's the biggest thing. Like somebody's going to get in there, and if that somebody's in there, you know that they're going to work. And if they can't work to get into your inbox for $2, then they're probably not going to work that much if they're cold emailing you, right? I mean,
what if you just set up your autoresponder and you counter pitched every salesman? Just come up with things to pitch salespeople, businesses that salespeople buy. So if you can just that's your target audience, and it doesn't matter what you're selling them, that just find something they buy, and then position yourself on LinkedIn or whatever with an executive title and publish your email address. Then all the spam that comes in counter pitches automatically with their autofication responder.
What about just an email business where we rate your cold email? So just email in and we'll just tell you if it's good or bad.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be fun. You could actually, you could do that, and then you can collect that and use that, and then that's how you would know what's spam, and then you could go sift through people's email address boxes and just complete. I don't know. Not a very good business there. But the pain to get into somebody's inbox, I think that's really, really great. Okay, I'm going to pitch a couple more ideas to you. I think, okay, hold on. Oh, this is so funny. I write notes on my phone of business ideas, and sometimes they autocorrect. One of them, this is so bad. One of these autocorrected, go into businesses and urinate on them. And I have no idea what that is. That is just an
And urinate on them?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I don't know. I don't know. And then it's something
like-
about building a retainer process through that. I have no idea what that is. Anyways, okay, so AI is really big right now. I'm sick of AI businesses, so I want to start an anti-AI business. So
I agree. I agree.
So we go into
anti-hype businesses. Yeah.
Anti-AI business. So we make you AI proof. Are you worried about AI? Don't worry about it. We got you covered. We will not let that affect your job. If you're working with AI, anything like that, we're the experts, and we tell you what you need, and we tell
To
you
not
how
be
to
replaced by AI.
exactly.
Yeah, you
We're
get
good
it,
with
that
The
fear.
consultant. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Or I think there's a newsletter play or like a content play where you're
I
like,
want to do, no. I don't want that. I want to reach really expensive corporations, and I want to tell them, hey, we are experts in AI, and we're going to make it so you don't lose your job. You don't lose your clients because you're going to be better than this. AI is new. and
like
that's
stay
fantastic.
ahead of the AI curve
ahead of the curve.
without using
Mm-hmm.
AI. Yeah, that's
We
an
audit your
interesting
processes.
consultancy. Just consultancies are that one sounds complicated and I'm out of energy. So that I mean, I think that's good for someone else. I'm tired. So I would rather do like a newsletter that is the reasons and substantive like thoughts on why AI is not all it's cracked up to be. And you just are the anti-AI brand, right? It works for politics. It works for everything. There's always there's a for and against argument. And if you just collect the audience that is actually just anti, you're going to give them all their best dinner table points. Like they want to argue with their friends why this is not
What are they going to buy? I have such a hard time with newsletter businesses. I know you're on board with them, but I just don't.
Oh, it's so easy.
Especially with AI.
They
That's
don't
the
buy. They don't buy. They read.
Yeah.
If you have the audience, then advertisers buy ad space on your newsletter. So there's a little section, like most newsletters that you have a section that a sponsor is paying for, and that's good money. Like they pay 5 figures for those contracts if it's a sizable audience. So if you can build 50 to 100,000 people on a newsletter, you're running a profitable ad business. Basically, you're running a 7-figure a year ad.
You could build that with an
business.
anti-AI.
Yeah, I just think that a lot of people would subscribe to that. They aren't my favorite types of people, so I don't. Again, not for me, but if for someone that is run with that. That could work.
Okay, I'll pitch you one more idea. And I want to see how much.
Is it car detailing? Please make it car detailing.
I hate car detailing. I think that's the worst business idea ever. Do you like
Really?
that idea? You want to do that?
I love car detailing. Yeah.
It's dumb.
You
You clean cars and you give it a fancier name. It's not that great.
I know, but it's so good for somebody trying to break out of like having a boss. So for the solo hustler out there, you just get some chemicals. You're only dealing with people who have money because people without money don't get their cars detailed. And you it's a very repeatable process. And meanwhile, you're networking with rich people in your city. I think it's a means to an end for a lot of 22-year-olds.
Okay, you know what's better than that?
Tell me.
Going to rich people selling protective wax coating for your car and using things like our patent pending orbital buffer will put this on your car and just sell it for like $600. And basically all it is just wax and wax their cars.
I'm not a good enough
sell-
salesman to convince people to buy that.
I don't know. You're a pretty good salesman. I think you could do that.
Yeah, that's how shitty I think your business is.
Okay, the problem with sales in that sense is you
I was
have
trying
to
to be
believe in the
nice,
product. If you don't,
Dustin.
no, it's good, it's good. If you don't believe in the process, then it doesn't work. I've tried to sell things that I don't believe in, and I usually
It
just
doesn't
feel
work.
gross. I feel
No.
gross. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm not into it. Okay, one more idea. I want you to tell me how I can pull this off. You operate, or you have operated a tech company. Now you're just doing a bunch of other big things, but I want to make a Kindle the size of a TV so I can watch TV on a matte finished back so I don't have to worry about that blue light hitting me.
Just like a red light TV.
No, like, haven't you seen Kindle? It looks like a paper, like Kindle paper.
But
Not
how are you going to watch TV if it's paper? If it's paper look?
Have you looked at a Kindle before? Like, at those screens,
yeah.
they're not backlit.
I've read on Kindles.
Yeah, on the ones that like you literally need a flashlight to read on it.
Yeah, but how would you watch a show on that? Or are you talking about reading on your TV?
No, I'm not talking about reading. I'm talking about, can you use that technology to make a screen so it doesn't project? Like you see this.
I think you're onto something, and the something is red light wrap. You just put the saran wrap over the TV, you roll it out, it's cheap and fast, and it blocks blue light. You put a red light cover on your screen for your family, for the health. It's $29.99. Buy now. I wouldn't want to sell a $400 TV and all the logistics of that in order to like get crushed by Samsung. I'm sure the patent already has been eaten up, but I love you.
The wrap would work, actually. I hate to say it. I was initially shooting it down in my mind, but if you just had like a little scrolly thing, kind of like a, I don't know, like a whiteboard, you just like slide it down. Oh, it's over.
Oh,
slide
yeah,
it back
yeah.
up. Mm-hmm. It'd have to be so simple, so easy. And
I like that. Not a whiteboard, a projector. That's like the projector thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You put it out above your TV, and then you put the red light screen, the blue light screen over it. That's great.
It is popular to demonize blue light right now, and it's probably all true. It's not the.
What else do we want to demonize?
Oh, it's just easy.
There's a lot of money in being against things, right?
Yeah. It's easy. I am against many, many things, actually. Remember that time I tried to build a business about negative affirmations?
I do remember that. That was about a year ago. That was when we were getting started. I still hold to, I think that's a really good concept. I just would do it as a show or something, or as the newsletter. I think you could write all the negative affirmations out and automate a daily newsletter. I know you're anti-newsletters, but gosh, I don't think you understand the value of the audience capture.
Okay, let's try it. Give me like 3 newsletter ideas, and I'll just give one a shot. I actually was thinking about turning our podcast into a newsletter. We just show.
Okay. The problem with our podcast becoming a good newsletter is it's quite difficult to do justice in writing to the amount of content you would want to make around business ideas. So I don't even recommend business ideas.
No. We just say, hey, these are our top 5 business ideas of the week. Take them if you love them. Boom. Just send it to you. Very simple.
From the episode?
From the episode, extra stuff. I tell you some of ideas. I have tons of ideas that I haven't told you.
I think that would be good, but pointing to other businesses that are in action. Like, hey, here's a new franchise that's trending. So
no, that's already done. You already seen so many of that. Like the new up and coming trending, all that stuff. That's totally there.
But it's just easier to like go get that info, and then it's less creative energy, I guess, is what I'm saying. I'm trying to get a lazier business that you can be more consistent with.
Negative affirmations is a really good lazy
business. That doesn't take a lot of creative energy.
Just take every single affirmation and just flip it around.
Like, your eyes aren't that pretty.
Your friends are probably talking about you.
You definitely are the dumbest one in the room.
You can't go too hard.
Okay. So I don't think people will remember why you thought this was helpful at all, but wasn't there a psychology reason why you thought negative affirmations actually could be beneficial?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're sitting there looking in the mirror every single day and you're saying, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, right? You're basically just putting on this Band-Aid, and you're not addressing the real issue behind you, which is like, dude, you're insecure. And the only way to get through your insecurity is to literally get through it, instead of just saying, I'm just going to wax goodness all over it. It doesn't work.
You might not even be strong enough. You should lift more.
Yeah, or like, you're probably not good enough, or you probably won't start the business.
That's so
look
terrible.
in the mirror and look at yourself saying that.
That's so terrible. I do not want to be associated with this business.
I don't mind being associated with it.
As long as it's
not gonna
a
make
joke. If it was a joke, I think, heck yeah.
It's a joke, but like most jokes, there's a little bit of truth
Dark
behind
joke.
it.
Yeah, okay. All right, I get it.
Jokes. That's fine.
It does embody some of your humor, its essence.
Douchey, full-on douche. That's good. I have a bunch of statements I can read to you if you'd like, or we can call it right there. Any thoughts on your end?
Statement me. Are you out of time? I'm not out of time.
Not out of time at all. Okay, here we go. Kendall, if you wanted to launder money, what business would you start? You have $5 million you have to launder over the course of 2 years.
Okay. So you want me to take in cash, pretend I did a service, You want me to run that cash through a service,
but you can still do the service.
And then
like
give
most
it back
good
to you?
laundering most good laundering operations are still doing the service. They're just doing a little extra.
Factoring. I would do
Factoring?
bridge loans. Yeah. So factoring is like any invoice-driven business. I mean, you've been in these production event businesses, right? It's an invoice. How long do you wait to get paid on average?
It's net 30 to net 90. It's so
Okay.
long.
So let's say average of net 60. An invoicing a factoring business says, "Hey, Dustin, good job. You did the event. You got $10,000 for the event. The problem is, you're not going to get paid for 58 more days. I will give you $9,000 now. I will hold on to the other $1,000 as collateral. I will buy that invoice from you. The catch is, I want 2% or 3% of the invoice, which isn't a lot of money. It's $10,000. So it's a $300 fee. The real challenge that screws people is like, well, actually, if you get hooked on that and you're doing business all year long, which a lot of factoring companies won't take you if you're not, you're actually just doing that 3% every single time you're recycling your own money to yourself. When you step back and look at it, you're giving them the money in the form of your invoices that your customer will pay them. And then they give it back to you for your next invoice. They're just loaning you back your own money. So they're actually getting a annualized return in the ballpark of 20 to 30% on your money. They just lent you the first money. They lent you the first money, but they're not continuing to lend you their own money.
So how am I laundering $2 million with this, or $5 million with this?
Well, you just do the same thing. It's just like, you give me the money in, I take a fee out, and I give you the money back. It is money laundering. The difference is, I have the transactions to prove. You just do it in cash. Like, look,
I see.
We're just creating a paper trail that's the same exact flow as factoring.
Okay. I'm scared if I get audited by the IRS in that sense. But points for creativity. I was not going to do that. I was literally just going to say, start a bar.
What are you going to do?
Bars are easy.
Bars? Yeah.
Tons.
We know a couple.
Yeah, you need a cash business. Done. Easy. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay, that's fun. That's a fun one. Okay. These are fun negative ones. What business would you start if you had zero ethics?
Oh my gosh. I don't want to say the first thing that came to my head. Maybe like maybe nude beach tourism service.
That is a good idea. However, I don't think you'd make a lot of money with it. I don't think they're...
Some of those tourism agents, when they get the right clientele, they're just kind of on retainer. I don't know. And you're making like resort kickbacks. You booked them at this resort and you're getting 10% of the take. You booked them their cars, you're getting 10% of the take. I think they do better than most people would think. Because they're charging you a fee up front, so you think that's how they make their money.
Yeah, I think this is a bad idea. Okay, if I had zero ethics and I wanted to make lots of money, I would sell drugs. I would make and sell drugs. I think it would be so fun.
I'd make fake drugs. I'd make
drugs.
little white pills with claims. Yeah, this is, and it tastes bad, so take it with water.
Chalk. Who knew?
Yep.
Actually, I would. Distribution's too hard with that. I wouldn't know how to do that. Okay. Let's see here.
You know, anything we put on the internet lives forever, right? I don't love hearing my own dark side come out and staying forever on the internet. AI is going to imitate the worst parts of me someday.
Delete it. Maybe. I imagine that we're going to have some pretty strict laws eventually come out against that.
My grandchildren will be like, "Hey, AI, what's the worst thing that Grandpa Kendall ever said on the internet?" Yep.
That's not going to happen.
I think it's going to happen. Anyways.
Nope. Okay. I want to think of a good question to ask you. Hold on.
This week I'm on the phone with a guy who had an 8-figure exit with a trampoline park business. Trampoline parks. I mean, we have one here. I take my kids there regularly, but selling it for more than $10 million, like, that kind of blows my mind. He's in a little bit bigger metro area, but like a trampoline park business.
That's a good idea. Actually, you could open that in any city that doesn't have one.
I mean, if you think about the business model, warehouse real estate's cheap by the month. It can't be that much money to get all the custom trampolines hooked up. The installation's probably expensive, but I bet it's a couple $100,000, like $100,000 for the gear and then $100,000 to install it all. And then once you're rolling, I think they charge my kids $12 at the door and they jump for an hour. And every time that it rains, everybody goes and crowds there, and it rains, 100 days a year. You can kind of actually math it out based on weather. So, like parents with angsty kids are going to want to get their jumpies out. So you're actually kind of just betting on parent psychology and the weather. And then you charge that head fee and you make sure your warehouse is big enough for 1,000 jumpers to be pushed through here today.
That's a good business idea. I actually think that's great. There's not a ton of recurring expenses on that one. I think it's fantastic. Right. Okay. I like that.
High insurance costs, but
that would be the highest thing. I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Okay. One last question for you. Please tell me, if you were to invest, would you rather invest in a good entrepreneur and a mediocre idea, or a good idea and a mediocre entrepreneur?
This is a controversial opinion. I would rather invest in a good business idea and a mediocre entrepreneur.
Tell me
why. Ask me why.
Yeah, please, why?
The way that our system works is you buy equity in a business. You don't buy equity in a human. The best entrepreneurs with a mediocre business idea are going to figure it out 9 months from now. And then they're going to leave. That business is going nowhere because there's a mediocre business. And then you don't have equity in their life. You only have equity in the business. But if it was a good business, you could actually convince the founder to step away, put in another operator. You could take over depending on how your contract worked. A good business is the asset. Yep.
Okay, I tend to agree. I do think that the most important thing in general is product market fit. It's always that, and it always will be that.
Damn, that was a good hot take. Let's just end right there.
All right, we're done. Let's get out of here.
Done. I'll